Good evening, my little creatures of the night. Mr. Wendigo back again with your late night creature feature. Before we begin, I'm curious. Where are you listening from tonight? Alone in your room? Driving through empty roads? Drop a comment and let me know. I like knowing who's out there in the dark with me. Now then, let's see what tonight's tale brings us. The frequency. Ryan Marsh had been driving for 6 hours through the flattest land he'd ever seen, and he was starting to understand why people went crazy out here. Nebraska in late October was a study in emptiness, corn stubble stretching to every horizon, broken only by the occasional farmhouse or grain silo, the sky so big and gray it felt like it was pressing down on him. He'd passed through towns that were barely more than a gas station and a church, places where the population signs had 2 digits and the American flags were faded to pink. His GPS had given up 30 miles back, the little blue dots spinning uselessly in a void of unmapped roads. Now he was navigating by the directions Elena Vance had emailed him, handwritten landmarks that felt like they belonged to another century. Turn left at the old Hendricks barn, the one with the caved-in roof. Go 4 miles until you see the dead oak tree split by lightning. Tower's another 2 miles past that. You can't miss it. She was right about that last part. You couldn't miss it. The tower rose out of the cornfield like a wound in the sky, 300 feet of rusted steel lattice climbing toward the clouds. It had been built in 1952, part of the Canelrad emergency broadcast system, designed to warn Americans if the Soviets started dropping bombs. Decommissioned in '63 when the system was replaced. Should have been torn down decades ago, but the paperwork had gotten lost in a maze of dead estates and defunct government programs, and now it just stood here, rusting, forgotten, waiting. Ryan pulled his truck onto the access road and immediately knew something was wrong. Cars, dozens of them, scattered across the field around the tower's base like toys abandoned by a giant child. Old cars, new cars, trucks and sedans and minivans, all of them empty, all of them dead. A 1957 Chevy Bel Air sat next to a 2019 Honda Civic. A rusted pickup from the 70s was parked beside a Prius that still had the dealer plates on it. Ryan stopped his truck and stared. What the hell? He got out slowly, the October wind cutting through his jacket, and walked toward the nearest vehicle, a Ford Explorer with Kansas plates. The doors were unlocked, keys still in the ignition. A woman's purse sat on the passenger seat, wallet inside, driver's license showing a smiling face named Margaret Chen, 42 years old, organ donor. The gas tank was half full. The battery was dead. Every car he checked was the same, keys present, personal belongings untouched, batteries completely drained, like something had sucked the life out of them. Ryan counted 43 vehicles before he stopped counting. There was a minivan with child seats in the back, a sippy cup still lodged in the cup holder, dry juice crusted on the lid. There was a motorcycle with a leather jacket draped over the handlebars, the pockets full of a wallet and keys and a packet of gum. There was an 18-wheeler with California plates, the cab locked from the inside, the logbook showing a delivery that was supposed to reach Denver 3 years ago. Every vehicle had a story. Every vehicle had a person who'd gotten out one day and simply never gotten back in. He pulled out his phone to call Elena, to ask what the hell he'd walked into, but there was no signal, not even one bar. He walked in a circle, holding the phone up like an offering to some digital god, but nothing. The phone was useless. Fine. He was here to do a job. Inspect the tower, file the report, get paid. Whatever weirdness was happening with these cars, it wasn't his problem. He'd tell the county about it and let them figure it out. He grabbed his equipment from the truck and walked toward the tower. The closer he got, the worse he felt. It wasn't anything he could name exactly, just a creeping wrongness, a sense that he was being watched by something he couldn't see. The air felt thicker here, heavier. The wind had died completely, and the silence was so absolute it made his ears ring. The corn around the tower was dead, he noticed. Not dormant, not harvested, but dead. Blackened stalks that crumbled when he touched them, like they'd been burned from the inside out. The dead zone extended maybe 50 feet in every direction from the tower's base, a perfect circle of nothing where nothing grew. The tower itself was in worse shape than the reports had suggested. Rust had eaten through half the support struts. The equipment shed at the base had collapsed years ago, leaving a pile of rotted wood and ancient electronics. Warning signs that had once been red were now faded to pale pink, their messages barely legible. Danger, high voltage, authorized personnel only. Ryan set up his spectrum analyzer, more out of habit than any real need. He already knew what his report would say. Structure unsound, immediate demolition recommended, hazardous materials assessment required, standard stuff. He'd done 100 inspections just like this one. The spectrum analyzer powered on, its screen filling with the usual background noise, the electromagnetic soup of modern life. Radio stations, cell towers, satellite signals, all the invisible voices that filled the air around us. Nothing unusual. Then the needle jumped. Something was broadcasting, something strong, something close, on a frequency that Ryan had never seen before. It sat in a dead zone between AM and FM, a range that no commercial equipment could reach, a frequency that shouldn't exist. He adjusted the dial, trying to get a cleaner read, and that's when he heard it. Static at first, harsh and buzzing. Then, beneath the static, a voice. A woman's voice, calm and clear, reading numbers. 40.7214 north, 100.8347 west, 40.7214 north, 100.8347 west. Ryan felt the blood drain from his face. Those were coordinates. His coordinates. His exact location, down to the 4th decimal point. The voice continued, patient, unhurried, like it had all the time in the world. Ryan Marsh, age 29, divorced, no children, currently experiencing feelings of isolation and purposelessness. A pause. We've been waiting for you, Ryan. We've been waiting so long. Ryan dropped the spectrum analyzer. It hit the ground and kept playing, the voice drifting up from the speaker like smoke. Your father is here, Ryan. David Marsh, died March 15th, 2014, myocardial infarction. You weren't there when it happened. You've never forgiven yourself. The voice was warm now, almost tender. He forgives you, Ryan. He wants you to know that. He's been waiting to tell you. All you have to do is come down. Ryan looked at the base of the tower, at the concrete pad he'd walked past a dozen times without really seeing it. There was a hatch in the concrete, a metal door, rusted at the edges but recently opened, leading down into darkness. Come down, Ryan. Come down and see your father. Come down and hear what he has to say. Ryan ran. He made it halfway to his truck before his legs stopped working. Not physically, nothing was wrong with his muscles or his nerves, but somewhere between his brain and his body, the signal had gotten scrambled. He wanted to run. He could feel the panic screaming through his nervous system, every instinct he had telling him to get in his truck and drive until Nebraska was a memory. But his legs wouldn't move. His feet had rooted themselves to the dead grass, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't take another step away from the tower. You can't leave, Ryan. The voice was in his head now, soft and patient, a whisper behind his eyes. Not until you've seen what's waiting for you. Not until you understand. Get out of my head. Ryan's voice came out as a croak. Get out of my head. Get out, get out, get out. I'm not in your head, Ryan. I'm in the signal. And the signal is everywhere now. In the air, in the ground, in your blood and your bones and the electricity that fires your neurons. You heard me. You listened. And now you're part of the frequency. Ryan forced himself to move, one agonizing step at a time, away from the tower, toward his truck. Every step felt like walking through concrete. Every inch was a battle against something vast, impatient, and utterly inhuman. He made it to his truck, grabbed the door handle, pulled. His hand passed through it like smoke. No, that wasn't right. His hand was solid, the truck was solid, but somehow they weren't connecting. Like they existed on different frequencies, different wavelengths of reality that couldn't quite touch. Your vehicle won't work, Ryan. None of them do. The signal drains them, takes their energy to power the broadcast. The voice sounded almost apologetic. I'm sorry. I know this is frightening, but you'll understand soon. Everyone understands once they come down. Ryan looked back at the tower. The hatch was still open, a square of absolute darkness in the concrete pad, and standing next to it, barely visible in the fading afternoon light, was a figure. A man, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a flannel shirt that Ryan recognized. His father's favorite shirt, the one he'd been wearing when he died. Ryan, his father's voice, his actual voice, the voice that had taught him to ride a bike and throw a football and be a man. Ryan, son, I'm right here. I've been waiting for you. Please, please come down. Ryan's legs started walking toward the tower. He didn't tell them to. He didn't want them to, but they walked anyway, carrying him closer and closer to the hatch, to the figure in his father's shirt, to the darkness waiting below. That's it, son. That's it. Just a little further. I have so much to tell you, so much to show you. We're going to be together again. Forever. Ryan was 10 feet from the hatch when a car horn shattered the silence. The figure at the tower flickered, like a TV signal losing reception. Ryan's legs stumbled, his own again, and he fell to his knees in the dead grass. Behind him, a county vehicle was pulling up the access road, horn blaring, headlights cutting through the growing dusk. Elena Vance was here. Get in the car. Now. Elena didn't wait for an argument. She grabbed Ryan by the arm and hauled him toward the county SUV, her grip stronger than her slim frame suggested. Ryan's legs were working again, sort of, enough to stumble along beside her as she half dragged him across the field. The tower, he managed. My father. I saw my father. He was right there. That wasn't your father. Elena shoved him into the passenger seat and slammed the door. That was never your father. That's what it does. That's how it feeds. She ran around to the driver's side, jumped in, and hit the gas before her door was even closed. The SUV tore down the access road, kicking up clouds of dust, putting distance between them and the tower. Ryan looked back. The figure in his father's shirt was still standing by the hatch, watching them go. It raised one hand, slowly, a wave or a beckoning. Ryan couldn't tell which. Then the road curved and the tower disappeared behind a wall of corn. What the hell is that thing? Ryan's voice was shaking. What's broadcasting that signal? Elena didn't answer for a long moment. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel, her jaw clenched so tight Ryan could see the muscles jumping. My brother went to that tower in 1999, she said finally. He was 17. Stupid kid, just like all 17-year-olds. Thought he was invincible. His friends dared him to spend the night out there. Urban legend stuff, you know? Haunted tower, ghost signals, kid stuff. What happened? He drove out there on a Friday night. Saturday morning, his car was in that field with all the others, keys in the ignition, his wallet on the seat. Danny was gone. Elena's voice was flat, emotionless, the voice of someone who'd told this story too many times to feel it anymore. Search parties looked for a week. Dogs, helicopters, Everything. Never found a body. Never found anything. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just listen. Elena pulled onto a paved road, the tires humming on the asphalt, the tower falling further behind them with every second. Danny left a tape. He had one of those little handheld recorders, used it for school notes, and he took it with him to the tower. We found it in his car with everything else. Took me 15 years before I could bring myself to play it. What was on it? Elena reached into her jacket and pulled out an old cassette tape, the plastic yellowed with age. She held it up so Ryan could see the label, written in faded marker. Danny, October 15th, 1999. Everything, she said. Everything you need to know about what's under that tower and why you can never, ever go back. They drove to Elena's house, a small ranch on the outskirts of McCook with a chain-link fence and a German shepherd named Brutus who barked once when they pulled up and then went quiet, like he knew something was wrong. Inside, Elena sat Ryan down at the kitchen table and made coffee with the mechanical efficiency of someone who needed to keep her hands busy. The tape sat between them like a bomb waiting to go off. "Before we play this," Elena said, setting down 2 mugs, "you need to understand something. The signal doesn't let go. Once you've heard it, really heard it, it's in you, forever. You'll hear it in your dreams. You'll hear it in moments of silence. It'll call to you every day for the rest of your life, and every day you'll have to choose not to answer." "How do you know?" "Because I heard it too, 20 years ago, when I was stupid enough to go looking for my brother." Elena sat down across from him, wrapping her hands around her coffee like she was cold. "I drove out there in the middle of the night, convinced I could find him, save him, bring him home. The signal caught me before I even got out of my car. I heard Danny's voice, telling me he was okay, telling me to come down and see him." She closed her eyes. "I almost did. God help me, I almost did." "What stopped you?" "Dale Hoffman. He was just a deputy then, young guy, new on the force. He'd followed me out there, thought I was going to hurt myself or something. When he found me, I was standing at the hatch, 1 foot on the stairs. He tackled me, dragged me to his car, drove me out of range." She opened her eyes. "I still hear the signal, Ryan, every night. My brother's voice, telling me he misses me, asking why I won't come see him. 26 years of saying no." Ryan looked at the tape. "And this is what he recorded? Before he went down?" "During..." Elena picked up the cassette with trembling fingers. "He was recording the whole time, all the way down, all the way to the bottom." She put the tape in an old boombox on the counter, the kind with a cassette deck that hadn't been manufactured in decades. Her finger hovered over the play button. "Last chance to not know," she said. "Once you hear this, you can't unhear it. Play it." Elena pressed play. Static, the hiss of old tape, then Danny's voice, young and nervous and trying to sound brave. "October 15th, 1999, approximately 11:45 p.m. This is Danny Vance, and I'm at the old Canelrad Tower outside McCook. I'm about to go inside and prove to everyone that there's nothing here. No ghosts, no signals, just an old tower and a bunch of stupid stories. Footsteps on metal, the creak of a hatch opening. Okay, there's a door at the base, some kind of hatch going down. That's weird. It wasn't in any of the stuff I read about this place. Going in. More footsteps, the sound of breathing getting heavier. There's stairs, metal stairs, going down a long way. It's dark, really dark. I should have brought a better flashlight." A pause. Then, fainter, a voice. Not Danny's voice. A woman's voice, soft and welcoming. "Danny, we've been waiting for you, Danny." "What the hell? Who's there? Hello?" Come down, Danny. Come down and see what's waiting for you. Your grandmother's here. She wants to talk to you. She says she's sorry she missed your birthday." Danny's grandmother had died 3 years before the recording, Ryan learned later. Pancreatic cancer. She'd gone into the hospital the week before Danny's 14th birthday and never came out. "Grandma?" Danny's voice had changed, the bravado cracking. "Grandma? Is that you? Come down, sweetheart. Come down and give me a hug. I've missed you so much." Footsteps, faster now, descending. The static on the tape was getting worse, but beneath it, Ryan could hear something else. A hum, a pulse. The same heartbeat sound he'd heard at the tower. "Oh my God," Danny's voice was a whisper. "Oh my God, the walls. The walls are covered in radios, hundreds of them. They're all playing, they're all saying my name." More static, more descent. Danny's breathing ragged and panicked. There's a room at the bottom and there are people here. So many people, just standing there, not moving, not talking. They're all facing a hole in the floor. A big hole. I can't see the bottom. I can't see. His voice cracked. "Oh God, I recognize some of them. That's Mr. Henderson from the hardware store. He went missing in '87. And that's the Parsons girl, the one from the posters. She disappeared when I was a kid. They're all here. Everyone who ever went missing around McCook. They're all standing here, facing the hole, and they're smiling. They're all smiling like this is the best thing that ever happened to them." The static grew louder. Danny's voice grew quieter, calmer, like the fear was draining out of him. "The signal is so loud now. It's in my head. It's telling me to look. It's telling me to step forward. It's telling me that everyone I ever loved is down there, waiting for me, and all I have to do is jump. All I have to do is let go." A pause, the sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate. "I'm going to look. I have to look. I have to see what's down there. I have to. I have to." The tape cut to static. 10 seconds. 20. Ryan was about to ask Elena to turn it off when Danny's voice came back. But it wasn't Danny anymore. "Hello, Elena." The voice was calm, peaceful, utterly wrong. "I know you're going to find this tape. I know you're going to listen to it someday. I want you to know that I'm happy now. I'm home. We're all home. Everyone who ever heard the signal. Everyone who ever came down. We're together now. Forever." A pause. "Come join us, Elena. Come down and see what we've become. The signal is waiting. The signal is always waiting. All you have to do is listen." The tape ended. Elena was crying silently, tears streaming down her face. Ryan realized he was crying too. "That's not my brother," Elena said. "Whatever's wearing his voice, whatever answered the signal when Danny stopped, that's not Danny. Danny's gone. Danny's been gone for 26 years. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "And now you understand. Now you know what you're dealing with." Ryan looked at the boombox, at the tape that had stopped spinning. "What is it?" he asked. "The thing under the tower. What is it really?" "I don't know. Nobody knows. It was here before the tower was built, before the land was settled, maybe before humans existed at all. The tower just gave it a voice, a way to reach out, a way to call." Elena stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the night. "Some people think it's an alien. Some people think it's a demon. Some people think it's just a natural phenomenon, like a sinkhole or a magnetic anomaly, something that affects human brains in ways we don't understand. What do you think?" Elena was quiet for a long moment. "I think it's hungry," she said. "I think it's been hungry for a very long time, and I think it's patient enough to wait forever for its next meal." Ryan tried to leave that night. He borrowed Elena's car, promised he'd send it back, and drove east toward Omaha as fast as the speed limit allowed. The plan was simple: get out of Nebraska, get somewhere with cell service, call his boss, explain that the tower assessment was going to be delayed indefinitely due to circumstances beyond his control. He made it 43 miles before the radio turned on by itself. It was tuned to static, the space between stations, and through the static came the voice, not his father this time, his ex-wife. "Ryan, baby, I made a mistake." Jessica's voice, the voice that had told him she was leaving, that she didn't love him anymore, that she needed something he couldn't give her. But softer now, warmer, full of regret. "I was wrong to leave. I was so wrong. Can you ever forgive me?" Ryan's hands tightened on the wheel. "You're not real. You're the signal. You're that thing from the tower. I'm whatever you need me to be, Ryan. I'm everyone you've ever lost, everyone you've ever wanted, everyone you've ever loved." The static pulsed, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. "Come back to the tower. Come down and see me. We can start over. We can have everything we never had." I said no. "You can't say no forever, Ryan. Nobody can. The signal is patient. The signal will wait. A pause. But why make it wait? Why suffer alone when you could be with everyone you love? Why keep fighting when you could finally rest?" Ryan reached for the radio dial, tried to turn it off. The knob came off in his hand. "That won't help. I'm not in the radio. I'm in you now. I'm in your blood, your neurons, your dreams. Every time you close your eyes, you'll see the tower. Every time you sleep, you'll walk down those stairs. You'll come back eventually. They all come back eventually." The car started drifting toward the shoulder. Ryan jerked the wheel, overcorrected, nearly went into the opposite lane. His heart was pounding, his vision blurring. "Let me go," he gasped. "Please, just let me go." "I can't let you go, Ryan. You heard the signal. You're part of the frequency now." The voice was gentle, almost pitying. "But I can make the waiting easier. I can give you peace. All you have to do is turn around. All you have to do is come home." Ryan pulled onto the shoulder, slammed the car into park, and screamed. He screamed until his throat was raw, until his voice gave out, until there was nothing left but silence and the soft, patient hum of the signal beneath everything. He sat there for a long time, hands shaking on the wheel, watching the stars wheel overhead through the windshield. The signal was quieter now, barely audible, but still there, still waiting. He thought about his father, about the real David Marsh, not the thing wearing his voice, but the man who taught him to ride a bike and throw a football and change the oil in his first car. The man who'd worked 60-hour weeks to put Ryan through college and never once complained. The man who died alone in his garage while Ryan was 2,000 miles away, too busy with work to visit, too wrapped up in his own life to make the trip home. The guilt had been eating at him for 11 years. He'd never forgiven himself. Never stopped wondering if things would have been different if he'd been there, if he could have called an ambulance faster, if his father might have lived. The signal knew that. The signal had found that wound and pressed on it, used his pain against him, turned his love for his father into a weapon. That was what made it so evil. It didn't just lie. It took the truth, the real, genuine, painful truth of who you were and what you'd lost, and it twisted it into something unrecognizable. When he finally started the car again, he wasn't heading east anymore. He was going back to Elena's house. He went back to Elena's house. Not because the signal told him to, not because he'd given up, but because he didn't know where else to go. His truck was still at the tower, probably dead like all the others. His phone was useless. His entire life was 2,000 miles away in a city that suddenly felt like another planet. Elena didn't seem surprised to see him. She just opened the door and stepped aside. "How far did you get?" 43 miles. further than most. She led him back to the kitchen, poured him a drink that wasn't coffee this time, whiskey, the cheap kind, but Ryan had never been more grateful for alcohol in his life. The signal's range varies. Sometimes people make it 100 miles before they have to turn back. Sometimes they barely make it past the county line. How do I make it stop? You don't. Elena poured herself a drink and sat down across from him. You just learn to live with it. You learn to say no, over and over, every day, until saying no becomes a habit. It gets easier. Not easy, but easier. And if I can't? Elena didn't answer. She didn't have to. They sat in silence for a while, drinking whiskey, listening to the wind outside. Brutus had come in from the yard and was lying at Elena's feet, his ears pricked, his eyes watching Ryan with an intensity that felt almost human. There's got to be a way to stop it, Ryan said finally. To shut it down, destroy the tower, collapse the tunnels, something. People have tried. Elena swirled the whiskey in her glass. In 1971, a group from the Army Corps of Engineers came out to demolish the tower. They brought bulldozers, explosives, a full crew. The signal got to them before they could even set the first charge. 14 men walked down those stairs and never came back up. What about sealing the hatch, filling the tunnels with concrete? Tried in '84. The concrete kept disappearing. They'd pour it in, come back the next morning, and the stairs would be clear again, like something was removing it from below. Then what about... Ryan, Elena's voice was sharp. Stop. I know you want to fix this. I know you want to fight. But some things can't be fixed. Some things can't be fought. They can only be survived. She finished her drink and set the glass down hard. The tower has been there for 70 years. The thing beneath it has been there for longer than anyone knows. It's not going anywhere. The best we can do is warn people, keep them away, and try not to feed it any more than we have to. That's not good enough. No, it's not. Elena stood up and walked to the window again, looking out at the darkness. But it's all we have. Ryan stared at his glass, at the amber liquid catching the light. The signal was still there, humming beneath his thoughts, whispering promises and voices he recognized. His father, his ex-wife, his grandmother who died when he was 12, everyone he'd ever lost, all of them waiting for him at the bottom of those stairs. All he had to do was say yes. I'm going back, he said. Elena turned around. What? I'm going back to the tower. Tonight. Ryan drained his glass and stood up. Not to go down, not to give in, but to see it, to understand it. Maybe if I understand what it is, I can find a way to stop it. That's suicide. Maybe. But I can't live like this, Elena. I can't spend the rest of my life running from a voice in my head. I have to face it. He met her eyes. Will you help me? Elena stared at him for a long moment. Then she laughed, a bitter, exhausted sound that held no humor at all. You're going to get us both killed. Probably. Fine. She grabbed her keys from the counter. But we're taking Dale with us. If we're going to die, we might as well have backup. Deputy Dale Hoffman was 53 years old and had seen too much in his time on the McCook force to be surprised by anything. But when Elena and Ryan showed up at his house at midnight talking about going back to the Canelrad Tower, even he looked skeptical. You know what happened last time someone tried to investigate that place, Dale said, standing in his doorway in a bathrobe and slippers. Those Army boys in '71. The researchers from Nebraska State in '89. The documentary crew in 2012. All gone. Every single one. We're not going down, Elena said. We're just going to look. Ryan thinks if he can understand the signal, he can find a way to fight it. Dale looked at Ryan with tired eyes. Son, I've been dealing with that tower for 30 years. I was the one who found Danny Vance's car. I was the one who dragged Elena away from the hatch when she went looking for him, and I'm telling you, there's nothing to understand. That thing down there isn't something you can study or analyze or defeat. It's just hungry. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. Then help us not feed it, Ryan said. Come with us. Keep us from doing anything stupid. If I start walking toward the hatch, tackle me. Drag me away. Whatever it takes. Dale was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed and stepped back from the door. Give me 5 minutes to get dressed. And if we die, I'm blaming both of you. They drove out to the tower in Dale's patrol car, the headlights cutting through the darkness, the cornfield stretching endlessly on either side. Nobody talked. There wasn't anything left to say. The tower appeared on the horizon like a black spike against the stars, and Ryan felt the signal surge in response, a wave of warmth and welcome and promises that he had to physically fight against. It knows we're coming, Elena said quietly. It's excited. They parked at the edge of the field, far from the abandoned cars, and got out. Dale had brought flashlights and a shotgun. Elena had a baseball bat that she clutched like a lifeline. Ryan had nothing but his need to understand. The tower loomed above them, 300 feet of rust and darkness. The hatch at its base was still open, a rectangle of absolute black. I can hear it, Ryan said. It's louder here, so much louder. Don't listen, Dale said. Whatever it says, whatever it promises, don't listen. They approached slowly, flashlight beams dancing across the dead grass and abandoned vehicles. As they got closer, Ryan started to see things in the darkness around the hatch, shapes, figures. People standing motionless in the shadows, watching them approach. Do you see them? He whispered. I see them, Elena said. Her voice was trembling. Don't look at them. Don't acknowledge them. They're not real. But they looked real. They looked like men and women and children, people from different eras, different decades, all standing perfectly still with their eyes fixed on the hatch. Some of them were wearing clothes from the 50s, some from the 70s, some from last year. All of them were smiling, that same peaceful, vacant smile that said they'd found exactly what they were looking for. And they were whispering, all of them, whispering in unison, a sound like wind through dead leaves. Join us, join us, join us. Keep moving, Dale said, his voice tight. Don't listen to them. They pushed forward, past the figures, past the whispers, until they were standing at the edge of the hatch. The darkness below was absolute, impenetrable, like looking into a wound in the world. Ryan, a voice from the crowd, a voice Ryan recognized. Ryan, son, you came back. His father stepped out of the shadows. He looked exactly like Ryan remembered, the flannel shirt, the broad shoulders, the kind eyes that had always made Ryan feel safe. He was smiling that warm dad smile that had gotten Ryan through childhood nightmares and teenage heartbreaks in every hard moment of his life. He even smelled the same, that combination of sawdust and Old Spice that Ryan had never been able to forget. Dad, Ryan breathed. Don't. Dale's hand clamped down on his shoulder. That's not your father. Your father is dead. I know. Ryan couldn't look away, but it looks just like him. It sounds just like him. Come down with me, son. His father extended a hand. Come down and see what's waiting for you. It's beautiful down there. It's peaceful. All the pain, all the loneliness, all the regret, it just goes away. You can rest, Ryan. You can finally rest. Ryan took a step forward. Ryan, Elena grabbed his arm. Ryan, no! I have to see. Ryan's voice sounded distant to his own ears, like someone else was talking. I have to understand. There's nothing to understand. It's a trap. It's always been a trap. But Ryan was already walking, his legs carrying him toward the hatch, toward his father, toward the darkness below. Elena and Dale were shouting, but their voices were fading, drowned out by the signal, by the chorus of voices calling him home. He reached the edge of the hatch and looked down. Stairs, metal stairs descending into blackness, and on the walls, just like Danny had described, radios. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, old tube radios and transistor radios and boom boxes and car stereos, all of them glowing faintly, all of them whispering his name. "Come down, Ryan. Come down and join us." He put his foot on the first step. The shotgun blast hit him like a truck. Not literally. Dale had aimed high on purpose, but the sound was enough to shatter the trance. Ryan stumbled backward, away from the hatch, his ears ringing, his heart pounding. "Move!" Dale grabbed him and Elena and practically threw them toward the car. "Move! Move! Move!" They ran. Behind them, the figures in the darkness started walking, slow and deliberate, following them across the field. Ryan could hear them whispering, all of them saying his name in unison, a chorus of dead voices begging him to come back. They made it to the patrol car. Dale shoved them inside and peeled out, tires screaming, gravel flying. The tower receded in the rearview mirror, the figures stopping at the edge of the field, watching them go. "That was too close," Elena gasped. "That was way too close." Ryan couldn't respond. He was shaking too hard, his whole body trembling with the aftershock of what had almost happened. He'd been one step away. One step from walking down those stairs and never coming back. "I saw the radios," he said finally. "On the walls. Just like Danny described. Hundreds of them." "So what?" Dale's voice was sharp. "What does that tell you? What great insight did you gain that was worth almost dying for?" "It's not broadcasting." Ryan's mind was racing now, the engineer in him taking over, analyzing what he'd seen. "The tower isn't broadcasting the signal. It's receiving it. All those radios, they're not transmitters, they're receivers. Something is sending the signal up from below, and the radios are amplifying it, spreading it out. And if we could destroy the radios, disrupt the receivers, maybe we could weaken the signal, cut it off at the source." Elena shook her head. "We can't get close enough. You saw what happened. The signal is too strong." "Then we don't go ourselves." Ryan was thinking out loud now, ideas coming faster than he could process them. "We send something that can't hear the signal, a drone, a robot, something we can control remotely. This isn't a movie, Ryan. We don't have access to military drones. We don't need military tech, just something that can carry a payload. An incendiary device, thermite maybe, something that burns hot enough to destroy the radios." Ryan turned to face them. "If we can cut the signal, even for a little while, maybe we can get down there, see what's really at the bottom, find a way to stop it for good." Dale and Elena exchanged looks. "It's insane," Elena said. "Completely insane," Dale agreed. "But," Dale sighed, "but it's the first idea anyone's had in 70 years that doesn't involve just avoiding the place and hoping it goes away." He was quiet for a moment. "I know a guy. Retired Air Force, lives outside Lincoln. He builds drones for fun. The big ones. Heavy lift stuff. If anyone can rig something to carry a payload into that tower, it's him." Ryan nodded. "Then we go to Lincoln. We build a drone, and we end this." Elena looked out the window at the darkness rushing past. "And if it doesn't work? Then we're no worse off than we were before." Ryan settled back in his seat, his mind already working on the problem. "But at least we'll have tried. At least we'll have fought back." The patrol car drove on through the night, leaving the tower behind, leaving the signal behind, leaving the voices of the dead whispering in the darkness. But Ryan knew they'd be back, The signal always brought them back. It took 3 days to build the drone. Dale's friend, a grizzled veteran named Hector Ruiz, didn't ask too many questions. He just looked at the specs Ryan had drawn up, nodded, and got to work. The result was an ugly beast of a machine, 6 rotors, reinforced frame, capable of carrying 40 pounds of payload. The payload itself was simpler. Thermite charges, 6 of them, enough to burn at over 4,000 degrees, hot enough to melt steel, hot enough to destroy every radio on those walls. They drove back to McCook on the 4th day, the drone strapped in the bed of Hector's pickup. Elena had wanted to come, but Ryan had convinced her to stay behind. If this went wrong, someone needed to survive to warn others. "You sure about this?" Dale asked as they approached the tower. It was midday this time, the sun high and bright, but the tower still looked dark, still looked hungry. "No," Ryan admitted, "but I'm doing it anyway." They set up half a mile from the tower, far enough that the signal was just a whisper, close enough that the drone could make the trip. Hector ran through the pre-flight checks while Ryan watched the tower through binoculars. The figures were there, dozens of them, standing in the field, watching, waiting. "They know we're here," Ryan said. "Of course they do." Dale checked his shotgun. "The signal knows everything, sees everything. We're not going to surprise it." "We don't need to surprise it. We just need to hurt it." Hector finished his checks and handed Ryan the controller. "She's ready. Straight shot in. Drop the payload. Straight shot out. Should take about 4 minutes." Ryan took a breath. Here goes nothing. He launched the drone. It rose smoothly into the air, rotors buzzing, climbing to 200 feet before leveling off and heading toward the tower. Ryan watched through the camera feed on the controller's screen, the ground scrolling past below, the tower growing larger with every second. The signal hit him like a wave. "Ryan," his father's voice, stronger now, angry. "Ryan, what are you doing? Why are you trying to hurt us?" "Keep going," Dale said. "Don't stop." The drone reached the tower. Ryan guided it down toward the open hatch, down toward the darkness below. The camera showed the stairs, the walls, the radios, hundreds of glowing screens waiting in the black. "Stop, Ryan. Stop now and we'll forgive you. Keep going and we'll never let you rest. We'll follow you forever. We'll take everyone you love." Ryan's hands were shaking. The drone was 10 feet from the hatch now, 5 feet. The signal was screaming in his head, 1,000 voices all shouting at once, begging and threatening and promising. "Drop it," Dale said. "Drop it now." Ryan pressed the release. The thermite charges fell into the hatch, tumbling down the stairs, disappearing into the darkness. For a moment, nothing happened. The screen showed static. The signal screamed in Ryan's head. Then the first charge ignited. White light filled the camera feed, so bright the screen went pure white for a solid 3 seconds, then static, and then the screaming started. Not from the controller, from the tower, from the field, from every direction at once, from inside Ryan's own skull. A sound that wasn't quite human, wasn't quite anything. A shriek of pain and rage that seemed to come from the earth itself, from the sky, from the very atoms of the air around them. The figures in the field collapsed, falling like puppets with cut strings, their bodies crumbling into ash that scattered on the wind. The one standing by the hatch burst into flames, blue-white fire that consumed them in seconds, leaving nothing behind but smoke and the smell of burning plastic. And from the tower, from deep underground, a plume of smoke and fire erupted like a volcano, climbing into the sky, blotting out the sun. The ground shook. Ryan fell to his knees, the controller tumbling from his hands. The shriek went on and on, a dying scream that lasted for minutes, echoing off the sky, shaking the corn for miles in every direction. Holy shit, Hector breathed. Holy shit, it's working. The signal in Ryan's head was fading. His father's voice, his ex-wife's voice, all the voices that had been whispering to him for days, they were getting quieter, weaker, dying. For the first time since he'd arrived in Nebraska, his mind felt clear. His thoughts felt like his own. "It's working," Ryan said. "It's actually working." And then the tower fell. 300 feet of rusted steel, collapsing in on itself, crashing down onto the hatch, burying the entrance under tons of twisted metal. The ground shook, the sky filled with dust. And then, finally, silence. Real silence. The first real silence Ryan had heard since he'd arrived in Nebraska. The signal was gone. They found the bodies 3 days later. Not in the tunnels. Those were buried under the collapsed tower, sealed forever. But in the field around the base, in the cars that had sat there for decades, in shallow graves hidden beneath the corn. 47 people, men, women, children. Some had been there for years, some for decades. Margaret Chen, the woman from the Ford Explorer, had been missing since 2022. Danny Vance's remains were found near the hatch, still wearing the jacket his sister had given him for his 17th birthday. Elena cried when they told her, but she also smiled. "He's at rest now," she said. "Finally, after all these years." The official story was a sinkhole, underground cave system, unstable geology, perfectly natural explanation for why so many people had disappeared over the years. The government sent teams to excavate, to study, to make sure there were no more surprises. They found the tunnels, they found the radios, melted into slag. They found the room at the bottom, the one Danny had described, and the hole in the floor that went down further than any of their equipment could measure. They sealed it with concrete, then they sealed it with steel, then they built a fence around the whole area and posted signs warning people to keep out. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, motion sensors, cameras, everything the government could think of to keep people away from a hole they claimed didn't exist. Ryan watched them work from a distance, his hands in his pockets, his mind finally quiet. It had been 2 weeks since the tower fell, 2 weeks of interviews and debriefs and medical examinations. The doctor said he was fine, physically. The psychologist said he was coping well, considering. Nobody mentioned the signal. Nobody asked what he'd heard in his head. "You think it's really gone?" Elena asked. She'd come to stand beside him, her brother's jacket folded over her arm. She was going to bury it with the rest of his remains, she told Ryan. "Give Danny the funeral he'd never had. You think we actually killed it?" "I don't know." Ryan looked at the construction crews, at the heavy equipment, at all the effort going into making sure nothing could ever come out of that hole again. "I don't think something that old can really be killed. But maybe we hurt it. Maybe we taught it to be afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Of us." Ryan turned to face her. "It fed on people for 70 years, maybe longer. It thought we were helpless. It thought we'd just keep coming, keep listening, keep walking down those stairs forever. But we didn't. We fought back, and now it knows we can." Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed, a real laugh, the first one Ryan had heard from her. "You really think a monster that's been around since before humans existed is scared of us?" "I think it should be," Ryan smiled. "We're pretty scary when we want to be." Dale walked up, a coffee in each hand. He handed one to Elena, one to Ryan, and stood beside them, watching the construction. "They're saying the site will be permanently sealed within a month," Dale said. "Military's taking over. Classified location. Officially, it never existed. And the people who died, the families who never got answers, getting answers now." Dale took a sip of his coffee. "Not the real answers, but something. Enough to bury, enough to grieve." Ryan nodded. It wasn't justice, it wasn't closure, but it was something. They stood there for a while longer, watching the sun set over the Nebraska plains, watching the tower's shadow shrink and disappear, watching the end of something ancient and hungry and patient. Then they got in Elena's car and drove away. The signal was silent. The signal was finally silent. 6 months later, Ryan got a letter. No return address, no postmark, just a plain white envelope with his name written in handwriting he didn't recognize. Inside was a single piece of paper with a single line of text. "We're still here. We're still waiting. And we remember your voice now, Ryan Marsh. We remember your frequency." Ryan read it 3 times. Then he burned it. He watched the paper curl and blacken in his apartment's sink, watched the words dissolve into ash, watched the last trace of the signal's message disappear down the drain. It didn't make him feel better. It didn't make him feel safe, because he knew it wasn't over. He'd known it from the moment the tower fell, from the moment the screaming stopped, from the moment the silence came rushing back like a held breath finally released. You can't kill something that old. You can only hurt it, and hurt things remember. That night, for the first time in months, he dreamed of the tower. He dreamed of the stairs, descending forever into darkness. He dreamed of the radios on the walls, all of them glowing, all of them whispering his name in voices that sounded like his father and his mother and everyone he'd ever loved. And he dreamed of the hole at the bottom, the one that went down forever, and the things that were climbing up out of the darkness, slow and patient, one step at a time. They had his face now. Hundreds of them, thousands of them, all wearing Ryan Marsh's face, all smiling that peaceful, vacant smile, all reaching up toward the light. He woke up screaming. The apartment was silent. The city was silent. But somewhere, far away, in a sealed bunker beneath a Nebraska cornfield, something was still broadcasting. Waiting. Always waiting. Every state has its pirate radio stations, broadcasts that appear on frequencies that shouldn't exist, playing music no one's ever heard, speaking in languages no one can identify. Most of them are harmless, hobbyists and pranksters playing with equipment they don't fully understand. But some of them are different. Some of them have been broadcasting since before radio was invented. Some of them are waiting for you to tune in. In Nebraska, they tell stories about a tower that stands in the middle of nowhere, rusting, forgotten, singing to anyone who'll listen. They say the signal can reach you anywhere, if you're lonely enough, desperate enough, broken enough to hear it. They say the voice sounds like everyone you've ever loved, promising everything you've ever wanted. They say if you hear it, you should run, turn off your radio, cover your ears, do whatever it takes to stop listening. Because once the signal gets inside you, it never lets go. It just waits, patient, hungry, forever. Well, boys and ghouls, that wraps up another terrorific tale from the vault. Ooh, that one got under your skin, didn't it? A signal that knows your name, a voice that sounds like everyone you've ever lost, and something at the bottom of a hole that's been waiting since before humans crawled out of the caves. Ryan won, sort of. He burned the radios. He collapsed the tower. He hurt the thing that had been feeding for 70 years. But did you catch that ending? That letter? That dream? Some things don't die, kiddies. Some things just get patient. And now it knows Ryan's frequency. It knows exactly what his loneliness sounds like. And sooner or later, it's going to call him again. Makes you think about all those dead channels on your radio, doesn't it? That static between stations. That empty hiss where nothing's supposed to be. What if something is broadcasting there right now, saying your name, waiting for you to tune in? Just how we love it. If this story made you unplug your radio, hit that subscribe button. New creature features drop every single day at 8 p.m. Central, and tomorrow's tale goes somewhere even darker. Leave a like if you're never listening to late night radio again, and drop a comment. You ever hear something strange on the airwaves? A voice that didn't belong? A station that shouldn't exist? I'm always hunting for the next nightmare. Remember, kiddies, if you hear someone you love calling from a frequency that doesn't exist, don't answer, don't tune in, don't listen. Because once the signal gets inside you, it never lets go. Until next time, kiddies, keep your dial on the right frequency. This has been your Late Night Creature Feature. I'm Mr. Wendigo, and something out there is broadcasting just for you.